All right, guys, we're back with another auction recap. Today we're looking at Love of the Game top 25 sales. One caveat, it does not allow me to just filter by cards. So I just filter by baseball cards since that's the predominant category at this auction house. Also, I can't filter out by reserve not met. Obviously, this did get a bunch of bids. So we'll probably start over here. It looks like it got bid up to, what, $8,600 or $8,700. So there's a few at the $8,700 price point. I'll just load these up over here as well. We'll probably take a look at those in a minute, but we'll go back on the side of things. And first we have a 1928 W502 of Babe Ruth in a 4. Blink back on this side of things. Is this the one that has multiple sets with the same image? Similar in size and appearance to the ice cream cards. Yeah, that's what I was thinking on that side of things. Like Tharp's ice cream and Yingling ice cream, stuff like that. Half the population W502s are blink backs. Retail stores or packaged inside some type of candy. It is cool the researcher actually put his name on here, and I've never seen that at auction houses. So kind of shout out over there. So yeah, there is that. Also, we've seen this one on sale a few times. I believe there was one that sold at Hakes a while ago. And classic Cobb and Wagner on the same thing. The reason why this card is so cheap is just because it's a large oversized. By no means, by the way, am I saying 8,700 is cheap, but in comparison to what some other Cobb or Wagner cards do. Oversized, a lot of people don't like oversized, unfortunately. And you can see that. Nice looking one, and you can see big crease over there, but I mean, from far away, the appearance looks really, really nice, and you can't even tell that crease is on there based off that image. All right, let's take a look at the one card where the reserve was not met. Amos Rusie, probably mispronouncing that. Nice little copyright over there. Pretty sharp card with the colors. I'm actually not familiar with this player, so let's take a look at Baseball Reference. They wrote a long description on this guy, so we'll take a look at that too. What does it say over here? 1 of 5 poses that he has an old judge set. 3rd most scarce of the Hall of Famers. His cards are extremely desirable in any grade. 4 minor league games, made his major league appearance at 17 years old. That's insane. I know there's been a few players that have played very few games. Recently, I think there was one that just skipped the minors. Was it the Angels? I think so. Struck out 341 batters in 1890. They wrote a lot about this card. The reserve on this has been a modest 7,500, 9,000 BP. Wow. That was one bid away. It's nice. I want to look at his stats, though, so let's just load that up. So he had 246 wins, 174 losses, almost 2,000 strikeouts, which, again, is a lot for back then. And he had a very short career. Wow, he was done at the age of 30. Really, 18 through 24, skipped that. And still performed pretty well on that side of things. Played a few years and was done out of the league. Wow, that's incredible. And, I don't know every single Hall of Famer. I'm not going to ever say I will. But this is the first time I've heard of his name. All right, let's jump into an Oxford Confectionery. These are really, really tough. Steven owns a Babe Ruth of that in a 1. Also, this is a pretty early Hornsby card. I believe his first cards were like out in 1917, so pretty early career. 3.5 sold for $8,700. It's a stacked checklist. You can see some of the names over here: Eddie Collins, Walter Johnson, right? Alexander, Speaker, Sisler, Cobb, Ruth, Frisch, like obviously Hornsby, like really, really loaded. So there's that. We have a Cobb. It doesn't mention the back, so I assume it's Piedmont. Yeah, Piedmont on that side of things. Another for $8,700. Quite a lot that ended at that price point. But now we have a jump into a Spalding Babe Ruth. Now, they made a ton of these cards out there. Specifically for Ruth, another player that they made a lot of was Jack Dempsey. What I found from the set and doing research and stuff like that, there's some that are proofs that only have like 1 or 2 copies out there. One of the most sought after ones is going to be either a Grange or Bobby Jones. Very early cards for both of them. They fetch a ton of money. They're nowhere near as prevalent as the Babe Ruth that you see over here, or again, Jack Dempsey. And they also have a few different backs on this side of things. So this is a printed back on here. And, I think these are pretty good value in comparison to a Gaudi. Personally, I'd rather put 10,000 in something like this than a Gaudi, because you can go to every card show and find a Gaudi. These are rarer than Gaudis, even though they did mass produce a lot of these in comparison to other players within this set. And it's earlier Ruth as well. So up next we have an exhibits of Lou Gehrig. I'm shocked that they didn't get this graded. Well, is the back skinned? Is that why? Glued into a scrapbook, so it can remove the cards, and discovered with this point that the cards were essentially skinned. Yeah. We submitted the card to both PSA and SGC, and sadly neither company would encapsulate the card in authentic holder. After consulting with the consignor, we've elected to offer here ungraded. So one thing to mention, and I know they brought out oversized cards or oversized slabs. CGC does grade skin cards. Because I've sent them a skin card before. I don't know if they grade exhibits or not. So that could be a play. You send that to CGC. Now, I don't know what an authentic Lou Gehrig goes for. Also, I don't know if they would grade these if they were rebacked. Let me see what the backs look like on these. And I'll just load up a picture right now. I know it's another competing auction house, but I hope they have a back picture. I mean, it is just a plain back. I wonder if they could technically reback that and it would be graded. I guess you'd have to talk to the grading companies on that side of things. Because there is a lot of rebacked old judge cards, but slightly under $10,000 if you want that. All right, 1960 Mantle and an 8. Nothing too exciting. I mean, it's a nice Mantle card, but in comparison to some other stuff that we rarely see. Good copy overall. Lighthouse on here. Nothing too much to say on that. Old Haas. 2.5. Not his middle finger card. I believe he's the one that has the middle finger one. $10,000. These, like I said, these old judges have gone really, really pricey for the last few years. And it makes sense because they're tough. We have Ed on here, another Hall of Famer mentioned on that side of things. Looks like it was like pasted or something like that. And that's probably why it has the 1.5. Oh yeah, he was a Niagara Falls one. I remember reading about that story. So, kicked off a train and fell over Niagara Falls and passed away. You can actually go to his wiki. By the way, I don't know if you guys like when I do the research in these type of videos. I'm trying to make these auction recaps and kind of like top 25 videos a little bit more entertaining rather than just going card over card. So let me know if you like this or not. You can see died, oops, there we go. Died when he either fell into the Niagara River or swept over Niagara Falls in early 1903. Being drunk and disorderly. Threatened passengers after he consumed 5 whiskeys. Insane. His body was found at the bottom of Niagara Falls a week after his death. I mean, it's probably one of the most famous deaths for baseball players out there. I mean, like Hall of Fame level. Has to be. But I do remember watching the story on a YouTube video. All right, we're jumping into a T206 lot or collection. 190 of these. So, what would be that math on that? 10,800 divided by 190. $56 a card. Which, a surface level, that's not a bad price. It really depends on the backs. I mean, you have some big names in here. You have Iron Man, Clark Hall of Famer, Huggins Hall of Famer, McGraw Hall of Famer, Jennings Hall of Famer, Huggins Hall of Famer, Chief Bender Hall of Famer, Bresnahan Hall of Famer, Amos There's probably other big names relative to the T206 set. I don't know every single Hall of Famer, stuff like that. Let's take a look at the backs. Wow, they're clean backs. Someone got a great buy over there. Great buy at that price point. Are all these clean backs? I love this purchase. I think you did. Oh, and there's a Tolstoy. I thought I saw a Tolstoy. Maybe not. Sorry, it's hard to see sometimes with the lights next to me. It was not a Tolstoy on there. Thought I saw one. I apologize. This is awesome. Maybe the Hall of Famers on here. Great buy. I like this a lot. I've obviously mentioned in videos that I'm going to start buying from auction houses a little bit more, working up the capital to do that, but like this would be an awesome buy on that. I don't think you could go wrong at that price point. All right, we're going to jump into a Buck Ewing Old Judge. That was sold for $13,200. Nice mustache on there. Ooh, there's a... Is that a print effect? Almost looks like there's a hole in the card, but it's not. It wouldn't get a 6. Ah, there you go. Look, the blemish visible is not a flaw of the card and appears to be part of the photograph negative. I did not know that, so I learned something new. All right, here is a 1933 Ruth. Again, like, I know this is a 4. Personally, I think this is a weak 4, but I'd rather have his 1926 card than this Scouty Ruth. Although this is a much more liquid card. You put that in a showcase, it sells every day, especially big cartridges. E91 of Tris Speaker. Don't see these all the time. Much harder to find than his T206. Personal opinion, of course. All right, a scorecard. I don't know if I would have put this under cards, but I'll still share it with you guys. I do like the artwork. I'm not going to complain about that. Guess technically card is in the scorecard, right? What did that sell for? $15,000. Beautiful piece. Imagine if that was a baseball card, like right here in the front with that design. People would go crazy over those. Another scorecard over here, Douglas Allison. Yeah, just imagine. How cool would that be if that was a baseball card? I mean, I like that design better than a Ramley, to be honest with you. I mean, that's kind of my first impression, like the Ramley design, but like I would take this all day long over a Ramley. Really awesome. Not a lot of people know about these, but these are pre the Sepia Old Judge cards. They're quite pricey. There's actually non-sports historical figures in there. Buffalo Bill has one of these. There's also boxers in there. This one sold for $17,400. Even the Buffalo Bill a few years ago sold really, really expensive. I know non-sports doesn't get the appreciation that sports does, but regardless, there's that. All right, another Gowdy Ruth. This is a nicer 4. It looks like. Yeah, way, way nicer 4. It's not loving that corner for a 4, but compared to the one a little bit earlier, not sold for $18,600. This is reholdered. You can see the old cert on there. Which other one could have been reholdered too for that old SGC one. It's hard to tell. Now this is a really sweet card. On this side of things, Larry Doby. He doesn't have a ton of these that are signed. I don't believe. Maybe they'll talk about the pop report. All right, I don't see a lot of these that go to auction. 18-6. First African American in the American leagues. Obviously, Jackie was first in the National Leagues. But how many does it say that are signed? 22 examples. That's what I was saying. Like, there's not many of them out there. wonder how many are compared to a Jackie. Jackie's also in this auction, so we'll see that in a second. But fraction of price of the Jackie, but I do understand that. Eddie Matthews in a 6 sold for $19,200. Nice corners. Centering is to be desired, but typically you don't see a lot of Eddie Matthews in high grade just because it is the last card in the set. And it wasn't double or triple printed like the Mantle. You know, some people say it's double printed. Some people say it's triple for Mantle. But Eddie Matthews was not. All right, let's jump into our next card. Legendary Jim Thorpe. And what is that? That is which back? Famous and Bar. There's so many different backs on the M101s. I just don't know them all. Honestly, there's a reference guide online that I've used before, but nice looking 6. Thorpe has a handful of baseball cards. The one I eventually want to get is his Z-Nut. I had a chance a while ago, but I passed on it. That one sold for $24,600. All right, cabinet card. We have Ed once again. And $28,800. Duke N142. I didn't realize Duke made baseball cards. They're famous for non-sports cards. Duke Great Americans, right? The N76s, the Poor Boys, the N79s, N78s as well, the Generals. I love the releases that Duke had, but I didn't know they made baseball cards. Now I know. Well, technically made cabinets. Really nice on that side of things. We're jumping into our top 4. So up first we have a 1954 Aaron in an 8. Really, really impressive grade. It is an old cert, but like look in the front, it looks really nice. Always, I mention the videos, check the back. It tells the true story. Mazzi's chipped quite a bit, and this has minimal chipping. I mean, there's a little bit more here at the top, but looks like a really, really nice copy. Here's a card that's amazing. Lefty Grove from 1921, Tip Top Bread. These are really, really impossible to find. Earliest card we're known about. There's been other sales of these before. Maybe we'll start throwing in some comps in these videos. But $40,000 for it too. Lefty Groves. Joe Jackson, SGC2, $63,000. Another card I want, but I will never own because I don't know about you. I can't drop $60K on a single card. And I'm nowhere near that rich. And lastly, we have a Jackie Robinson. Look at that. It says Best Wishes, Jackie Robinson here in a pen. It does go over a little bit of the card, which is why I thought it was a 9. The card itself looks really nice. I'm shocked that it's an authentic. I would have gone double. Like, this is a really, really nice specimen. And the one sold for $360,000. This sold for $170,000. I'd be mad if I was the consigner if it did that loud. But they don't have a numerical grade in that. I don't know if the one for $360,000 went for that. I remember that $360,000 sale. We covered it on the channel. I can't remember exactly what the card looked like though. But beautiful, beautiful card. So what I want to do is maybe take a look at some honorable mentions. We'll scroll a few pages. See if anything really stands out on the baseball side of things. Here's something I'd never seen before. We'll load that up there. Load that Leon Day as well. We just covered that in a video, as well as this 1949 Ruth. So a few things. Number one, I have a video on 1950s and 1940s baseball cards. So we actually shared both of these cards, I believe, in the videos. The Blue Ruth in itself, which sold for $5,400, which I believe was a little bit higher than what I put in that video, what this would go for. Really, really awesome color and imagery. He actually has 349 Leaf Premiums out there. This Leon Day hasn't sold in a while, I don't believe. I could be wrong. I know some of these, the Nia, don't sell that often, but that should be in the video. We're talking about 1950s cards. $6,000 is a ton. Really, really cool. I'm not familiar with this set. 1886 Hancocks. What does the back look like? I have never seen these before. It's a good one, brand. What does it say? The great shortstop, compliments of Hancock's Gents Furnishing Department. Earliest known minor league cards. There you go. The great shortstop had a 9-year professional career, 3 seasons with the Louisville Colonels. That's awesome set. I just never knew those existed. We'll look at some other stuff. Rare 1963 plaque mantle with original wrapper. Never seen that before. Jump into some other sports and non-sports. I don't think they had a lot of non-sports. I want to see that. Why that postcard sell for $2,800? Another one of these Tip Top Red 2640 early win. Don Newcomb. Ooh, we got to look at that. All right, I'm going to go one more page on the baseball side of things, and then we'll jump into some other stuff. All right, let's jump into some other stuff as well. We still have those loaded up. We'll look at football cards, and there was only 9. Nothing there to talk about. Boxing only has 2. Pop culture and Americana. I don't think there was really many non-sports cards. That's why we just went baseball with here. I'm just going to look one more time. Football cards, hockey cards, basketball cards. Non-sports had 1 card, which is a shame because I love their baseball card selection. They had some really, really nice baseball cards this time around. We'll look at basketball as well. Anything that really stands out. NBA player. These are really, really tough. Havlicek. Schedule card of Larry Bird. Never seen that slab before. Type 1 photo. That's pretty cool for the picture pack. All right, let's just take a look at these last 2. I don't know who this is. Armando Marsons. Look him up. New Britain Baseball Club. If I saw this, I would have no idea. It's a $2,800 baseball postcard. And then this is, I believe, one of the earliest Don Newcomb cards out there. Really, really nice example. Why did this get a 1? I mean, these are all out of albums, so maybe there's a lot of staining. It looks like there's some staining on here. This is a great card, $2,500. I wonder one of these, I know I can't afford it, but I do like that a lot. All right, I want to see who this is. Cuban manager. All right, so let's read a little bit about him. Minor League Baseball, Negro Leagues, Cuban League, and Mexican League. He's player manager from 1904 to 1927, managed the Mexican League. 3 different major leagues career with Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis in the Federal Leagues, and St. Louis Browns and New York Yankees. Wow, he had a pretty storied career. Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame, but not the Baseball Hall of Fame. I wonder if people, a little speculation, if he'll make the Baseball Hall of Fame one day. That's amazing though, all the Latin leagues, Negro leagues, major leagues. He had a story, so I understand why this sold for that much. But yeah, that is Love of the Game recap. Let me know how you guys like the research side of things. I want to add in some more sales history into these videos, which I'll do that in the future, but try to change it up a little bit. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Post probably anywhere from 2 to 3 auction recaps every single month. And if you see any auctions I missed and you want me to cover it, just shoot me a message, Twitter, Instagram, email, anything like that. And I will catch you guys in another video.